candidates. And now for the Q&A. Each question will be addressed to each of the candidates. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to answer. Our timer down in front here will ring the chime after 1 minute. There will be no rebuttals. Our first question is regarding Hawaii's mass transit funding. Congressman Abercrombie was a proponent of mass transit funding. If elected, will you push for federal funding of the city's mass transit system? One answer, please. Same order, please.
Mike.
I believe that the issue of mass transit has been determined by the voters of the city of Honolulu. Voters in that referendum was close to the people, and people voted for the steel on steel, that the decision was made, and that's the democratic process, irrespective of how any individual may disagree and agree to it. Given the statement by the people of the city of Honolulu, I would do my part that would be necessary to ensure that the project goes forward. And as Congressman Abercrombie did, do whatever is necessary to ensure that the project is viable.
Yes, I would continue to advocate for federal funding of mass transit. When I was in Congress previously, I did join my congressional delegation partners to support authorization to the federal government to support mass transit, subject to the decision of the people of this county. The people have, as Williams pointed out, obviously decided. Why? Let's go back to a point that I made in my introductory remarks, which is that we are responsible not just for today, not just for tomorrow, but for generations to come. And I ask you the basic question: what will Honolulu look like in 50 years, 2 generations from now, without mass transit? Will we think to ourselves then, boy, I sure wish we would have had mass transit? Because I really can't imagine a future for the city, a future for many, many citizens of this city in 50 years that does not include some kind of fixed rail or fixed transportation alternative. I don't think we can look at energy as an example in the next 25 or 50 years to conclude that essentially the way that we're depending on for transportation today is the right way. So in principle, yes, but does that mean that all the details are just fine? Absolutely not. I've been concerned for many, many years now that the projections that the city has been using have been optimistic. I've been concerned that some of the decisions that the city council has been asked to make have been based on information that was problematic. And I have absolutely no problem with Governor Lingle taking time for a deliberate review of the funding alternatives to make sure we have this right. We do not want to embark on something like this if we don't have it right. But in principle, yes, I do believe in mass transit.
My position on the rail system has been clear and consistent over the last 5 years as we have debated this issue. And I think this is one position that clearly distinguishes myself from my 2 opponents. I believe that the rail system could work here in Honolulu. My issue, however, and my position has always been, that if money grew on trees, if we had an unlimited supply of financial resources, of course we should do rail. But the problem is, the people of Hawaii are not made of money. This rail system proposed for Honolulu at $6 billion. Keep in mind here, this is what the city is telling you how much it is paid, not how much it might actually cost when we finally build it. This cost at $6 billion will, per capita, be the most expensive rail system built, not just in American, but in North American history. That is why my position has always been this rail system is too expensive for our community. Now, I also am very proud that as a member of the Honolulu City Council, I felt it was important to ask the people. That is why I introduced, pushed for, and got passed a measure to put this question on the ballot and ask the people. And I think when this question went to the ballot, I, unlike my opponents, voted against it. But I respect the vote of the people. The people have spoken on this particular matter. I will respect the process as it moves through the Federal Transit Administration, and should federal funding be awarded to the city, I will respect that as a member of Congress. Now, there is a lot, however, that needs to happen before that actually occurs, and there are a lot of details, a lot of I's, a lot of T's that I believe have not been dotted by the city government that need to be addressed. Do these financials work out? Does our route currently work out? Should it be rated at some portion of this system? There's a lot of doubt, a lot of questions that remains in this rail system. My position has never wavered. It is very, very expensive. Thank you.
Our next question regards labor and employment. Specifically, this question relates to card check legislation. As you know, as part of President Obama's campaign platform, it seeks to require employers to recognize a union as the bargaining representative of its employees. If the union gets more than 50% of the employees in the prospective bargaining unit to sign union authorization cards. The bills introduced today have eliminated the secret ballot election that many employees have argued protects them from intimidation and pressure to sign union authorization cards during a unionization campaign, and which business argues handicaps them from responding to a union campaign because unions are not required to notify employers when they are soliciting union authorization cards. That's my 2 minutes. What is your position on card check proposals?
As some of you may be aware, the Hawaii State Legislature did pass a card check, what you call it, legislation. The federal piece of legislation is called the Free Choice Act. I have supported this piece of legislation, and let me explain why. First of all, the Free Choice Act really simply codifies a practice that exists now. I happen to be a labor attorney, and I can tell you what's contained in the National Labor Relations Act. The difference is who makes the choice. For example, you can have card check recognition now if the employer chooses to recognize a particular union. And we've seen that happen in the state, where one union may be selected over another because the employer recognizes those unions' cards over the next union's card. So this is not a new concept. This is not a new concept. The question that we must all ask is the federal law that would enable this. Whose rights are you looking at? And the rights that you're looking at, I believe, are the rights of the individuals to act in a concerted manner. That is the right that you are protecting. So, in this particular situation, if you look at the Free Choice Act, it requires rules and regulations to be enacted, which I believe will then create the safeguards that are necessary. And it will also be, because that's the way the National Labor Relations Board acts, is that it will also be a series of rulemaking by way of contested case hearing. Having said all of that, this is not new. The card check exists today. It is just a matter of who should have the right to determine. And I believe the people who decide to act concertedly together, maybe 50% of them plus one to agree that they have a right to make that choice. Thank you.
The Employer Free Choice Act, which was proposed during my time in Congress, and which is again before Congress, has a number of different factors to it. Preference was made to one factor, which is, should there be a secret ballot for employees in terms of whether they want to create a union or not. And essentially that act provided and provides that ballot is not secret anymore. And I disagree with that. Because I believe that an employee should be entitled, as any voter, to make his or her decision in secret. I believe they not leave the secret ballot process. And clearly, the objective of making it unsecret was to weight the process towards one end rather than the other. Now, I believe, let's go back to the point I tried to make in some of my introductory comments. Decisions on specifics are based on principles. Principles are based on experience and beliefs. And I believe in collective bargaining.